I use this Aomway antenna. I think these Aomway antennas are fantastic value for money. I don't know if they give you the nth degree of performance relative to a high dollar antenna like a Bluebeam or IB Crazy antenna or whatever, what have you. But they they're pretty good. They're good enough for me. And I suspect I've seen some tests out there that show that they do, in fact, provide pretty good coverage as well. They are reasonably durable. We're here to talk about this flexible coax, this semi-rigid coax. Now, this is a thing. This is not intended for use in the way that we actually use it. This is intended for use like you're going to mount the coax somewhere and you're going to bend it to shape and it's going to stay that way in your install of your wireless antenna. So the way that we're using it is completely novel, and it's a great way of using it, but it's not designed to be constantly bent back and forth the way you crash and your antenna's tweaked and you bend it back the way it should go, and you crash and your antenna's tweaked, you bend it back the way it should go, and eventually it stops working, and I'm going to show you why. If you look very closely, you'll see that the semi-rigid thing is created by this almost like snakeskin scale braided wire. And the way that wire works is the way it's braided together makes it stiff and makes it hold its shape when you bend it to shape. And that is very, very clever. That's your standard braided sheath that is around all coax, but here they've braided it in such a way that it makes it hold its shape. But here's what happens. At the base, if you bend it enough, right, then eventually it wears out and it breaks. And the place it usually breaks is right here at the base, where this crimped ferrule, I guess you could call it, and it breaks. If you look here, you can see this one has broken, and you can see it's just completely sort of like broken away, right? And here's how you know that that's happening. When your antenna is constantly failing to hold its angle, because the dielectric, this white stuff, is actually what's, see, look, now it won't hold its angle, right? You crash, you go, I'm just trying to bend back in shape, and then it crashes and whoop, it bends. See, the semi-rigid part is holding, but it's the dielectric is not holding. You've lost all of this rigidity that you're getting from here, and that's where it always breaks. So what happens then is when this stuff breaks, this is actually carrying current. This is part of your signal path. And so when this does break, that's it. You have problems. We could potentially burn up your transmitter. I'm not sure if it's quite as bad as running it without an antenna at all, but certainly it's not going to be good for your range. I don't know. So if you have one of these antennas and you've noticed that it keeps flopping to the wrong angle, even when you try to bend it back, it's probably that it is starting to break at the base, and you should really be aware of that, okay? And this one took, it took months to get to where it is now. So, it's at $7 a pop. They're very they're still very economical, but do pay attention, because you can be in a situation where you've got one of these that looks perfectly good, right? You've got no visible damage here, but just it's been bent back and forth so many times that here at the base it's breaking off, and once it breaks, then that's it for your signal. Your signal is going to be really bad. So be aware of that common break point of an otherwise good-looking antenna. And that's the tip for today. Hope it's helpful, hope it's useful, and as always, happy flying.